Hey guys, welcome back to the channel today. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different from my normal content. Normally I would do a review, but this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I thought it'd be kind of fun, and I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to do. Today I'm going to be talking about my love affair with the horror genre. Now, for those of you who know me or close to me, know that I absolutely love horror films. I particularly love the slasher genre. I love creature features, but I love the horror genre in general. For me personally, it's always been something that's had a special attraction. Um, don't get me wrong, I love different types of film, all different types of. I love comedies, action films, dramas, superhero films, thrillers. But for me personally, I've just always had this special attraction, which I think is kind of ironic because I can remember as a young child having these horrible, horrible nightmares because I would want to go out and watch this stuff, and it would give me terrible, terrible nightmares. I would be terrified of it. Um, but I would keep going back for more. Um, but for me personally, I think that there are a few different moments that stand out for me when I think about my love affair with the horror genre and why I am trying to become a filmmaker so that I can make my own films, some of which are horror related. I think the first moment that really caught my attraction to it was I saw Alien 3, which is a horrible film. Director's cut's not bad, but the theatrical cut is terrible. It's a terrible movie, but that was my first taste of the Alien franchise, as well as my first introduction to Ripley. And I had fallen asleep on the couch in the basement of my grandmother's house. I was watching some sort of movie with my father, and he didn't realize I was up. He had put Alien 3 come on or something like that, and he was watching it on TV. And I woke up and I was watching. I watched the end. I watched like the maybe last like third of the film, but I was hooked. I was hooked on it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, for a 6, 7 year old, you know, seeing that for the first time, seeing this creature was mesmerizing. I just thought it was really, really cool. I think that moment sticks out because it would go on to be this thing. I didn't get a chance to see a lot of these horror films with my mom because my mom didn't like the horror genre. She didn't want me to watch it because she was a responsible parent to some extent. Obviously, did not want her 6, 7 year old child watching rated R films. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for being a good parent. But no, in all seriousness, so I would watch these things with my dad from time to time over the years, but he wouldn't. He was a responsible parent too. He wouldn't go out of his way to say, hey, you should definitely watch this. I'm gonna let you watch this. Um, but he would let me watch certain things. I know he let me watch. I remember him letting me watch the Tremors film, which was, if you haven't seen Tremors, is a creature feature. And I thought that was really cool. I was also at my grandmother's house. That's kind of the first moment that I think really started my love affair. The second moment, but I think really helped mature it, was I had basically from that point on I had started looking into other horror films. I remember a few years later, my dad with my stepmom had gotten Netflix, and they let me go online and look all these different movies up, and I found all these different horror movies. Like I had known of Michael Myers, I had known of Jason Voorhees, the Alien, Predator, Freddy Krueger. I knew of all of these different horror icons, but I hadn't seen all the films. And I had this thing where I was going to I remember when I turned 13, my dad said we could watch. He would let me watch more of these movies when I turned 13, because I'm gonna be a teenager. And I remember having this list of films. I wanted to do this. I never actually did this with my father. I would actually like to do this. If you're watching, Dad, I would still like to do this with you. I just think it'd be a lot of fun to do. But had this list of horror films I wanted to watch in a row. It'd be this marathon of films. I wanted to watch Alien. I wanted to watch Predator. I wanted to watch Halloween, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Scream. I wanted to have this marathon, stay up all night long and eat popcorn and drink soda and watch these movies and get scared and all this stuff. And I thought it was just such a cool idea. I never did it, but that leads me to the moment too, which is my brother. I've always had a really good relationship with my brother, a really special relationship with my brother. Um, my brother's the oldest out of my siblings. I'm the youngest of five. He's the oldest of my siblings. He is about roughly 16 years older than me. Um, he knew what it was like to be growing up and stuff, and being interested in stuff that might be considered too old for you. So he would always sneak. We would always get hang out these movie nights, and he would basically sneak me over to his house and stuff. And he'd tell our mom, it's like, okay, yeah, mom, no, yeah, Nick's coming over for movie night and stuff. Yeah, what are we gonna do? We're gonna watch I don't know, freaking yeah, we're gonna watch Mulan or something like that, and then we'd watch Alien. Um, but I remember this moment because it was the first time I didn't get a nightmare from watching a horror film, and I remember I kind of consider this to be the moment of which my interest kind of finally canceled out my fear. And we went to Blockbuster was still around, and we rented this. We were going to go rent Alien. We were going to go rent Alien, and Alien was not there. I think they didn't. Somebody had already rented the copies they had, so we got the next best thing, which we got Aliens. Now, for those who don't know, I consider the movie Aliens to be the greatest science fiction action film of all time. I think it's probably one of the greatest science fiction films overall, but science fiction action film I consider to be the greatest science fiction action film of all time. I also consider Ellen Ripley to be the greatest female protagonist of all time, so that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I love Ripley. I think this is the film which really brought Ripley into her own. But I remember going down, and he was living with, I think, we have different dads. His dad at the time, and his room was in the basement. And I remember going down there and watching Aliens on his little TV in there, and it just was a really good experience, and it's a really good memory for me overall. I remember that he wanted to take me to go see Alien vs. Predator at the time, which I think was out in theaters, but he couldn't get me in for some reason. He knew he wasn't able to get me in, so we didn't see it. I think we did rent it and stuff when it came out on DVD, but I remember watching Aliens with him, and I just think that's the second moment that really sparked my interest. And the third moment came years later. I still can't believe that. This is probably one of my favorite films of all time. But I still can't believe that I waited this long because it's such a great film. And I watched Scream. I was in middle school. And I remember being in middle school, and I came home, and it was after school, and I didn't know what to watch. And I turned on the TV, and one of the channels, Scream, was on. And Scream is one of probably my favorite movies, regardless of genre. It's probably in my top 5 favorite films of all time. I love Scream. Scream is probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest slasher films of all time. I think it definitely revitalized the slasher boom back in the mid-90s when it came out. But I remember watching Scream, and it made me so happy and stuff, because I thought the characters were really good, and I thought that the story was really interesting, and I can just remember watching everything. Matthew Lillard's character of Stu is just phenomenal, and I think it's still funny for me anytime I see Matthew Lillard, I just see him as Scooby Doo. I see him as Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Um, so I'm like, Shaggy? Um, but that's like the one role where I don't look at him at because I just love Stu Macher that much. Um, but I think those really helped shape my core relationship, my core values with the horror genre. It's always been something that's been super super cool for me. I love the horror genre. I think right now we're in a good spot with horror. I've had some arguments with people and stuff. Some of my friends, I shouldn't say arguments, debates though, with some of my friends and stuff who don't honestly think we're in a good boom and stuff. I think we're definitely at a place where I think we're at a place with the genre right now where there are definitely some concerns. I think we use jump scares too much. I hate jump scares. I personally think jump scares are the cheapest form of horror. I'm okay with fake scares if they're used properly, although I think fake scares can be worse than jump scares when they're not used properly, which I think is kind of a problem. I don't like where some of the things are going. I think that we have allowed some of the studios to interfere a little bit too much and put more jump scares in, but for the most part, I actually think that horror is in a really good spot right now. And I think horror is one of the only genres where you can't really explain this. I think it's one of the only genres and stuff where you can't say will ever truly die because, like comedies where people always want to laugh, horror is always going to be like people always want to be scared. I think that's kind of the cool thing about the horror genre is that you'll see it out there. The people will go see these films because they want to be scared. I don't know. For me, I don't necessarily get scared anymore. I think I've become desensitized a little bit. I have a very bad problem. I love dark humor. I have a very, very bad problem of going to see horror films, and I'll see some guy get his head chopped off in just the stupidest way, because it's just this guy's been wandering around the woods for the past hour, just doing the stupidest stuff he can, and then just, there goes his head, and I will just crack up laughing. That's not always the best thing to do in that situation when you see that in a film, but yeah, it happens. I think that I think what gives me such a special relationship is I have so many fond memories of different horror films, and I have a pretty strong positive reaction to them because I think that they work well. But to get back to point, I apologize because I have ADD and stuff, so I tend to get a little off track sometimes when I do longer things like this. To get back to the track, though, to get back to the point, I think this is a good spot and stuff for horror. A lot of really great horror films have come out over the last 10 years or so. From The Strangers to The Babadook, to Don't Breathe, to It Follows, to the Conjuring films, the Sinister films, Insidious, Oculus. The list really just goes on. There's a lot of really great films that have come out. And for me personally, I'm happy to see the quality films. There's a lot of good classics. Now, for every film that comes out, that's a great film, you have bad films. Truth or Dare, Slender Man, The Bye Bye Man. I think those films are disappointing because I think they're riddled with jump scares. I also think that they're not necessarily the best written films. That's one of the things with horror. I think that that's one thing I would like to change. I think that with a lot of horror films, there's almost a formula on how to make it. A formula basically to tell you what to do. So people, writers, and studios don't necessarily look for projects that are well written or make sense of the story, but they fit the formula. And I think that's unfortunate. But I'm happy right now because I think that there's a lot of really good horror films that have come out in the recent years that have really shown that you can have a good horror film and a well-written film. Namely, Get Out last year, which was a Oscar worthy film. I thought Get Out probably should have been Best Picture, in all honesty. But I can't really comment on that much more than what I've already said. For me personally, I think that horror is always going to go strong. I'm hoping to be able to get my own projects out there. I have a couple of ideas for found footage films, a couple ideas for slasher films, a couple ideas for creature features that I'm working on. I would love to discuss that more on the channel and stuff, but for the time being, I think I'm going to sign off. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more content like this on my opinions on other genres, how I kind of view them, let me know in the comments. And if you guys want to know more about different stories I'm working on, different projects I'm working on with my writing, and hopefully going to be able to get them out, let me know. I would love to discuss them. So, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.